like it. I like it. Gotta relax.
This is Earth Radio. And now here's human music.
Human music. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Gotta relax.
This is Earth Radio. And now here's human music.
Human music. I like it. I like it. I like it. how to relax.
This is Earth Radio. And now here's human music.
Human music. I like it.
Hello, ladies and gentlefish. Welcome back. Sorry, just very unprofessional there. Just checking my phone right as I'm about to start streaming. But you don't come here for professionalism. Don't be ridiculous. Hey everybody, how are you doing? I hope you are all well. I hope you've had a great day, morning, night, whatever it is for you. We're going to be doing some more art stuff. It is an art stream today, as our usual Wednesdays are. We are going to be doing some stuff, hopefully, for some portfolio work. So it's going to be a little bit more freeform. We're just going to be playing around with ideas. I have an idea that I kind of want to see if I can get down on paper, so, well, digital paper. So we're going to do that for a bit to begin with, and then we'll see how we go from there. I'm pretty tired. I've had a full day of work today, which wasn't too bad, I'll be honest, but, like, just takes it out of you. Ugh. So anyway, we'll be doing that, and I'm going to show off where we're at with the Oracle cards, the divination cards that I make. Because I found two printers actually, two printing companies that will make cards to custom sizes, and that will fit the approximation of the cards that I have. So I've got these cards that I made up a while ago. I don't know if you can see, lovely scene there. These are all. I mean, not all old drawings, but quite a few of them are older drawings. And I made these. I got them printed kind of shittily at Officeworks, and then I cut them myself. I think they're a really nice size. This size, like, sort of just fits in your hand, and it's kind of, like, perfect for that. The place that I'm getting them printed at is going to be, like, just a little bit larger, which will be fine for my hand, but I don't know how they feel for other people. But they're still smaller than, like, the standard tarot card type deck thing. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. I'm going to show off what we've got so far, what things you can potentially get, because we're going to have to limit it down to, like, 50 or so cards for at least the first deck while we do the practice printing and get everything sort of sorted together. And then we're going to move on from there to doing like multiple decks, multiple different themed decks, which is the plan. But I want to try and get some out before Christmas. Very ambitious, but we'll see how we go. So I'm working on that at the moment. That's a weekend plan. So potentially this weekend, when we're doing our men's mental health stream for International Men's Day, which is Saturday. Sorry. Actually, I'll double check it is Saturday. It is perfect. So a Saturday stream, which for people outside of Australia potentially is going to be a Friday stream. But wait, we'll see how that goes. Hey, how you going, Firelight Chaos? Okay, so that's essentially what we're going to be doing. I'm going to show off cards now, and you can have a sticky beak at the things, and then I'll let you know what we're going to be fixing up and what we're going to be doing, and then we'll go back to what we're actually doing today, which is going to be entirely different, but might end up on the cards, so we'll see how we go. So these are the cards. Let's zoom in just a little so you can see one of them. This is what they look like. I'm cleaning up the edges currently. I'm cleaning up this border to make it look a little nicer and to make it look a little bit more refined. At the moment, it's kind of my crappy, scratchy style, which I quite like, but I'm not sure will super go down well with retailers. So we're going to be cleaning that up and making that look a lot nicer. And then the cards are going to be like this. So I have been doing... they're all hand illustrated. They are pen and pencil with marker. So we've got a few different designs. These are all from the old decks. Basically just things that I have updated and revamped, making them look a lot nicer. Yeah, there we go. And then we've got a few of these newer ones. So down here you might recognize Divine Agony and the Mush Mimic. And then we've got the Bottled Storm, the Firebird, the Phoenix. So we've got a few of these newer designs and some digital work in there as well. Then we've got some work from our Drawtober last year. Sneaking about in here. There's some more, because those worked really well, so we were happy with those. I'm not sure about this one in the bottom corner, but we're gonna see what we go. These are some of the newer ones. These are just the pencil drawings. They haven't been inked yet, so they have a little bit of... you can see the detail on those. Anyway, so that's... Whoop. I'm gonna be careful not to like accidentally draw on any of these. Yeah, just some more of the pencil works that I'm just been working on now. There's some nice designs. I like these ones. Some more, and then we've got some of these digital designs. So these are some of the digital work that we've been working on more recently. So the Arbitrator, we've got some images from Lizzie Bell's book there. We've got the Urban Druid. And then the stuff from this year's Drawtober while I was away in France. So these ones are going to be probably as part of the first set just because they're a little bit more refined. But I'll see how I go. I'm not sure if I want to do all of them to be like one style, as in all of them be this kind of pencil work and markers, or if I want to do like a mixed set and see what people feel like. So there are options there. We obviously do have our Pokemon game running in the background there, so you can have a look at that. We also have our Stream Raiders game, which I'm not entirely sure how you go about joining. Let's see if once I start the game, there we go. So it's streamraiders.com/t/the New World Artist. Double check that works. No, I did it wrong. God damn it. There we go. That should be the right one. It is! Hey, hey. So I'll put down my little dude. And you and everybody just sort of vibe. Go for your life. Wherever you want to put your stuff. Here, I'll show off what we're doing. There you go. That's the game. That's the game we're playing. So if you go to that address... I don't know if I can delete this from my... Anyway. People will know. Hey, I caught a cleffer. Anyway, so that's the... I'm going to quickly jump back to my loading screen. Don't mind me. Pro streamer, guys. There we go. Stick this up in the corner. So you got 28 minutes before my little raidy do kicks off. We might kick it off early depending on how many people get into it. But yeah, we're gonna bug around with that, and then we're gonna work on this. So what we're doing today, we are making hopefully a lovely picture. So we're gonna start off with some scratchy, just rough details. The idea is we're gonna take one of these faces. I think it's gonna be this portrait on the left here. And then using the coloration of these two, potentially some of the features of this middle one, and the coloration of this right-hand side one, because I didn't really like the face the eyes looked quite puffy, and the jawline wasn't what I was going for. It was the wrong angle of the image, basically. I wanted something more like this middle one, and then the one on the left was a very nice sort of structure for what I'm essentially trying to make. The idea is I'm going to turn this into kind of like a faun-esque creature. So a series of horns, probably 4, so 2 pairs, coming off the top there, and then I want this kind of light, this kind of bright sunlight coming off like one side of the face, is sort of generally the idea that I'm trying to go for with it. So that's the plan, essentially. Whether we can execute it is another question entirely. I'm gonna try and roughshot this first, and then seeing how that goes, we might do like an overlay reference and work off from there. And then we're gonna color match to these 2 reference images here, the other 2, and see what that does for us. Yeah, so that's today's task. I may have bitten off more than I can chew, but we're gonna work on it. This stream is sponsored by Lizzie Bell. She's definitely human. She's also definitely tired. She has just worked a double shift, management first, and then a nursing shift afterwards. She is gonna be pooped when she gets in. So when she does get in, we're going to send her our love. Now, how is the best way to do this? I'm going to start with a... an anchor image. So this is basically for those who don't do portrait drawing very often. As it has been explained to me, so you know you probably have heard it as something else. But an anchor image is basically sorry. Concentration. An anchor image is basically like a template that you put underneath, or that you start with, and the idea is that it's supposed to have the broad structures of whatever whatever it is you're trying to draw, and then you sort of rough in your anatomy as you're going along. Why is that doing that? Let's see if we can get rid of whatever's over there. Let's see if that did the trick. It did. Wonderful. Okay, so that's not perfect, and sort of technically is not supposed to be. The idea is this is like your rough reference image to start with, that you then build out into the actual shape of the face. And you should have like all the elements of the face are sort of roughed in along these lines. So you have the line of the spine, which starts at the back of the neck, like at the back of the head, where the neck meets the base of the skull, where your cranium basically attaches to your spine. So your spine comes in there, and then it's supposed to follow in a kind of like straight arc to the top of your shoulder, and then from there curve down. If you've got a twist in the neck like I do, then it would be like at a diagonal, and then from there you put in the angle of the shoulder, which is usually like a trapezoidy type shape, and and then you put in the head. So the top of the head is kind of like this circular ovoid shape. Then you have this kind of like angular cross down the bottom, so this kind of triangle that sits at the bottom, but it's sort of slightly curved usually, and depending on what jawline shape you're going for, so it's either very angular for some people, or it's sort of like softer or more curved in others. And then you basically break up the face like you usually would. So there's a center line that runs down the middle, that's where the spring of your nose goes. And from there you then put in your eye line, which is about halfway between the top of the head and the chin. So in this middle section, the ears are situated along that line as well as the eyes. Or at least the top of the ear is supposed to be there, and the bottom of the ear is supposed to be at the nose line, which is halfway between the eye line and the chin, and then halfway between the base of the nose and the chin is where the mouth should, or the center of the mouth should sit approximately. And then your hairline is halfway between your eye line and the top of the head. So I put it a little high, but that's because I'm going to be doing stuff with horns and weird things, so that's kind of the top, and then that's where approximately the hairline should sit, at least like fringe and things like that. And then the sort of the sideburns or the curvature of the face follows around. So you have the forehead, which is kind of this wider area that goes into a crest on either side. Not for me, obviously, but for other people. But yeah, so that's sort of the general idea of that structure, and then you end up with something that is approximately the face that we're going for, which is good. That's what we want. And then we'll be able to go in and do like fine-tune work to sort of make this look a little nicer. But this is sort of just the rough shot. General idea. So I think I probably want, in the same vein as what this reference has, some braid work. I was thinking probably like one lot of braids down one side, and then the other side just be sort of flowing hair. Because most of this is then going to be covered, because the idea is we have from this front section, we're going to have almost tiefling-esque horns, and I want sort of two sets like that. Hey, that looks pretty good. Pretty good. And so the idea of the braid is like it's a practical thing to keep the hair out of the horns, sort of, at least in my mind. So we have this kind of braid thing going on here, which will probably fall down to like there-ish. Curve out. And then we have here. We're currently listening to some jazz from our art playlist, which I'm digging. Hey, Fire Like Chaos! Helping out with the battle. I don't know if I can place more than one dude. Anyway. Let's not worry about that. Yeah. All right. Let's have a look-see. What we'll do is we'll copy this layer, duplicate layer. And we'll see how close we're getting with this. That ain't half bad. I think if I make the head this a little bit bigger. Yeah, we're not too far off. So that's fine. What I'll do is we'll just hide that layer because we're not trying to make it exactly that. We don't actually care all that much about it, but it will help us with detail work for you know, making things look slightly more realistic. So we're going to go in and put in a little bit more detail and layer in. I'm not going to be doing what I should be doing, which is working on multiple layers. Which is silly, because, you know, I know it's a thing I should be doing. But inevitably, I end up never actually. All of this is going to be basically changed and ruined in a second, because what I'm going to do is do some rough color mapping, because I actually want to get rid of most of these hardline edges. The idea behind roughing in all of this stuff is to get a general idea of where my colors are supposed to be. And then we're going to try and do this without having these sort of heavy outlines. So we're just roughing in approximately where things should be. Then we're going to go in and see if we can color this. We don't want this to look too cartoony, we actually want this to look fairly realistic, so that's the plan here. And that's why it's going to be portfolio work, essentially. If I can make this look realistic, which I have done in the past, but from a single image rather than from multiple reference images, then it will definitely be worth putting together. Oh, me eye! All right, 13 minutes to get your units in. Actually, is her just not having any clothes on probably the way to go here? Oh, sorry everybody. Blah. Alright, move this down so that we can start laying in some color. I'm going to do it on the layer above, just so that we... just trying to get a range of tones. So we know, like, approximately what things should look like color-wise. There's just hints of this eye on this other side, so we don't actually need all of this color. What we will need is the black. There's a kind of eyelash. All right, I think we can approximately work from that to begin with. So what we'll do is we'll probably move this one back out of the way. Just up here, and then we'll bring our this one down. Okay. If anybody has anything in particular that they want to chat about, feel free to check it in the chat. If not, I'm happy to just chill and vibe. We're tired, but the vibe is pretty good today. This is sort of slowly becoming a face. The yummy grows. How many have we got now? Hey! Got an extra person in. Cool, cool. Well, we've got 4 minutes until we're going to be fighting our way through. I've been enjoying the little stream raidy thing. Yeah, it's an interesting little game. I was playing it on someone else's stream a little while ago, and was like, oh, I've got to get into this. You may have forgotten to add them. Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I mean, it's literally just a thing that runs in the background of the stream, so it really doesn't matter. It's not something that I'm super concerned about. But like, it's the exact sort of like silly fun thing that I was looking for with my stream engagement. So I had these like lofty ideas of building a custom program which was gonna do me a like a stream redemption type game that people could engage with, and I was sort of playing around with this idea and excited about this idea, and yeah, I might still do it eventually. The plan is still to sort of try and institute it if I can, with these kind of like goblin heist thing. You could start cooking. Oh no. Yeah, that's fair. Eating is important. Self-care, everybody. Self-care is super important. But yeah, I had this idea of like coding, and I've like written out how the code should look and all this kind of stuff for this like stream game. You haven't eaten all day? Chaos. Do we need to start sending you food? Me and Lizzie Bell. You know we'll do it too. Don't tempt us. Don't tempt us now. But yeah, so I had this idea. You haven't drunk any water since your last stream. Jeez. Okay, this is a self-care call. Fire, specifically. You need to drink some water, hydration. And you need to have something to eat. No, specifically Chaos, come on. Get to it. Yes, come on. You do need water. Everybody needs water. You are, what is it? 80% water, 70% water? Whatever the thing says. You're an amount of water. You need to refill that. Come on. You're a desert reptile. Alright, 20 seconds before we start our little stream ready-do. So get in there, last chance. Hey, there it is. Alright. Nope, that's the wrong one. Webpage. Okay. Battle! See how we do with just the three of us. Oh. We're down. I don't know if we're gonna make it. Nah. No, we lost. Oh, rip. All right, we can retry, which I think is what we'll do. Either side is difficult, so we're just gonna have to try. I've got a level 4 tank, so we'll tank it up instead. I think we'll sit him in the middle here, and just kind of vibe in this area. All right, get to it, Kittywinks. I think I need to replace some of the nib on my... I've been wearing it down from using it too much. You had to cancel your stream. Now, I mean this entirely as a, like, not a calling out thing, but like, is it possibly that you haven't had anything to drink or eat? But also, totally fair. If you're not feeling up to it, cancelling your stream is the appropriate thing to do. Me and Cog always have this thing together where we, like, want to push to do the stream, and then we feel bad when we don't do it, but, like, really we're not up for it. And sometimes you just kind of need to tell yourself, like, it's okay to not be okay. It's alright to, like, not be available for the things. You get days where you don't want to eat for like 24 hours just cause. See, that doesn't seem like it's an... I don't know, like, you well enough to say this for sure, but, like, it seems like that's possibly not normal. But it might be for you, so I can't say for certains. There are definitely people who just have periods of, you know, but you're in a constant state of dehydration. Then you should drink. Drink to live. Chaos. Come on. There is my Instagram, ladies and gentlemen. If you are interested in checking out any of my art, if you like what you see here, or if you want to check out other things I've done in the past, there is lots of good stuff there. So go and check it out if you wanna. I'm not gonna make you, but just if you wanna. You only felt truly hydrated when you came out of the hospital 3 days on IV. Jeez. So you can just like drink and drink and drink water and never feel like truly hydrated. Is that what you're getting at there? Because that's kind of insane. I have met someone like that before, and the issue they had was there was some like crossed receptor in their mind, basically, and so they had to be careful not to drink too much because their brain would keep telling them, no, you're dehydrated, you need to keep drinking, and they would what's it called, hypohydrate. So they weren't ever dehydrated. What they would do, drink until you're bloated. Yeah. So you would they would essentially drink the salts out of their system, and they'd end up having to like go to hospital for like it's essentially a form of like dehydration. But what it actually is like there's no salts left in your system, and so your body can't absorb the water anymore. So that's a thing that exists in the world and is terrifying. You still feel like you need more hydration, your body just can't take anymore. Fair enough. Well, you learn something new every day. Yeah, it's kind of very odd. Nice work on being odd. Odd is a good thing in my books. I think if you're not at least a little bit odd, then you know what's the point. But you also do forget to drink water. Okay, well there's the balance of it then, I guess. If you're also then forgetting. She just like look a little soulless. Okay, we're getting a little closer to something that looks slightly realistic. So we angle this up to the jawline. So the idea being we take away this underneath sketch bit, and then we're just left with sort of the right colors, question mark. Anyway, let's lay in this top section here and see how we go with that. Ta-da! You don't feel thirsty until someone tells you to drink, then you're like, oh yeah, I can have a sip, and then gulp down a few glasses and then feel sick. Okay. So clearly what you need is like a moderation tool. You need some way to be like, remind you to have a bit of water, but not like until you feel sated. Because if you know that there's an issue, if you know that like you can't keep drinking because you will just keep drinking until you feel sick, then you clearly need a like, okay, every time this alarm goes off or whatever, every time, you know, someone hits this button, the hydrate button, then you have to have like 100 mils worth of water or 200 mils worth of water, and it's like in a go. Obviously that won't work for streaming because people will then, you know, take advantage of that and be like, oh well, you're gonna make you hydrate every 5 minutes. Why the hydrate redeem point is good? Yeah, I like it as well because I forget to hydrate too. I will sit and just kind of like idly drink, but like I don't get enough water sometimes in my day, and having the hydrate thing on stream is pretty handy for that, as a little reminder of, hey, you should probably have something. You need to have a hydrolyte occasionally too. Yes, hydrolytes are super important. Like, if you could, you can make your own. Actually, is another really good thing that I think people should be aware of. That like hydrolytes are actually not that difficult to make. It's just an electrolyte drink essentially. But it is super important because people think, oh yeah, you know, I'm drinking enough water and that's fine. When actually the problem is that they're then like taking the salt out of their system, and they actually need to get more in. Is this horn in the back in the wrong spot? Potentially. For where it should be sitting on the head, given where this one is. That's a little frustrating. But a fairly easy fix. So let's just do that quickly. And then we want to do approximately the same on this layer. Hey, there we go. Fixated. One of your arts told you that you need to be drinking before you feel thirsty. So yes, technically that is true. For like regular people. So the idea that like waiting till you feel thirsty to check whether or not you're dehydrated is like the wrong way to do it, because by the time you feel thirsty, you're technically already dehydrated. So your body is like, oh shit, there's no water left to do anything, to do all the things we need to do. So now I'm going to make you feel thirsty so that you drink again. The problem is that means that the water's already gone from your system and you have like backed up systems that are no longer doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like, it's not optimal. Now, we don't need to do things optimally. We're not fucking robots. But there is a sense of, like, you know, your body is not going to be the healthiest it can possibly be unless you're sort of preempting some of the issues that it's going to have, which a lot of people don't do. Hey, I'd get a Metang. Poker catch. Give me your robot body. Hey, one day, Elon Musk is working on it, apparently. With his various Neuralinks and brain links and who knows what else. So there's a question. Would you join up to the singularity? Like the idea of merging your mind with a computer and a you know, a single consciousness, or at least access to the sort of the idea of a single consciousness. Is that something that you would do? Because it would make things significantly easier in some ways. I guess it would make other things harder, but for someone who like struggles with issues of social cues and stuff, so like for me personally, having to like read into what people are saying is frustrating at times, and so just having it be like you couldn't hide that, like everybody just has to be honest because everybody can kind of see each other's thoughts, is an interesting idea. I don't know if it would be good though. I don't know if that's a beneficial thing. Nope. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'm not sold on the idea, I'll be honest. But I know some people who are. I know some people who are well into it. It's a worry. Honestly. I mean, they're worries of people, so. And messes of human beings. Oh, she looks so unhappy. I'm not sure exactly how to fix that. To make this look more neutral. I have a feeling it's the way I've structured the eye as well. Once I play around this and fix it up a little, I think we'll end up with something that actually looks a little bit more neutral. At the moment, she just looks like resting bitch face. looks a little better. There we go. All right, slowly coming together as we patchwork our way across skin tone. 11 minutes. Oh, I've just noticed I'm sitting weirdly and not on camera. There we go. 11 minutes until we got our ready do. Okay, that's looking pretty good. What I'm going to do now is pick a kind of mid-tone-ish colour and just fill in this backing. The idea being that it will help blend a lot of this colour back in. So what do we want? A dark for here. Grayish here-ish. Basically just blending in a lot of this color back into the midground, creating a stable base to work off. We want this to actually be a little brighter, so let's go with something a little bit more vibrant. Yeah, that'll do. Just for the top of the head. And then for these horns, I think we go like a much darker, but more in the brown register. That might be a little too dark. But that isn't bad. Ah, yeah, there we go. A mixture of both. So let's go back to what we were at. Do kind of this base layer like that. And then we'll layer the lighter one over the top. So this is one of the huge advantages of working with digital art. You can layer colors in underneath, or like easily undo shit that you fucked up. I still tend to work in a fairly, what would be considered painterly style. So you notice I basically just like took a bunch of colors and I've just been layering them over the top of each other rather than like using filters or tools or whatever to blend everything together. That's sort of intentional. The idea being that like, so my strengths come from being a traditional artist, from being a painter, I guess, or an illustrator. But the other side of it as well is just that like I'm more comfortable working in that way, in that style. I should learn more how to use these techniques and tools, like the digital techniques and tools, because they would be beneficial. They make certain things much easier. I'm usually fairly resistant to stuff like that. Mainly just because like I've got a style and a technique that I already use, and I want to like continue that. But there are some amazing things you can do with digital art, and I should be trying to utilize it more fully than I do currently. All right, that is not looking too bad for a like first rough draft kind of thing. All right. So now comes the like nitty gritty bit by bit thing. So I'm gonna drag this down here. Just because I want to brighten up some of these areas. And this sort of goldy yellow is what I was mainly thinking of using. Oh yeah, immediately. Maybe I should use this as the base tone. Oh, there's a much better color range in here. Bugger. That's right, because these undertones are going to sort of mellow together quite well, I think. that does bring back some of the vibrancy we were missing. Lovely. Do you have an ear reference here? I don't know why I'm not following it. Hey, we're ready for another fight. Hey, we've got a bunch more people this time, so we have a much better chance of winning. Let's open up our little fight page. Give it a go. We're doing much better than last time. Hey, victory! I'm gonna grant out rewards randomly. So my tank is still the highest that I've got, so I'm gonna start off with the tank. If people wanna just vibe any way you like, honestly, go for it. We're just vibing today. Glad to see more people getting into it though. I think there's a few people that just kind of like hang out to play Street Raiders on people's chats. I don't think they actually come in to watch the stream, which is an interesting way of doing it, but you know, to each their own, I guess. Nothing against that. That looks a little better. I think if we Alright, that's looking much better now. Oh, the eye. Gotta do something about this eye. Alright, let's move... not that one. Actually, we'll move her down. Move this one back up here because we don't need her anymore. We're basically taking the eye from this one and trying to sort of apply it to that side. That positioning. So let's get her here. Her down here. I can get them both in the same thing. There we go. That might work. Nothing is wrong. Oh, we've got some heavy hitters. Some level 20s kicking in here. Glad they're coming to help. No, I'm not happy with this necessarily. Not entirely sure why yet, but I know that it's not working out the way I want it to. And I'm going to keep pushing at it. See if I can get it to do what I want it to do. I think it's very different facial positions, and I'm trying to force it out of that, and that's not working very much. Will that help? Let's give that a go. See what that does. I mean, now she just looks disappointed. But that might be the play. Alright, that might have redeemed it a bit. We're getting there. We're getting there. Small steps. As always, every artwork is small steps. There's a period. I have found this as a practicing artist, as someone who's studied at university. There is a period in literally every single artwork. Well, not every single artwork, because there is this super rare occasion where there's something you just love straight out of the bat. But in almost every single artwork, there is a period where you absolutely hate what it is you have created, and you're like, "This is bullshit. All of it's fucked. It's irredeemable. There's nothing I can do." And then you keep working at it, and suddenly, little glimmers of hope appear. And if you keep working at it, eventually you end up with something that actually looks pretty decent. But you've got to go through the everything is bullshit, I'm a terrible artist, the world's fucked, I don't know why anybody ever bothers. Like, you've got to go through that period. You have to have a slight depressive, manic episode in every single artwork. Because you have to get to the point where it's like the irredeemable thing has become even more irredeemable. And then you're like, oh no, the entire artwork's ruined, I should just stop. And, like, start over, or just not bother with this project ever again. And that's where the self-doubt demon gets you. Because if you stop there, then it's correct. But if you keep going, then you manage to find that little glimmer of hope in there. Because there is actually a wonderful artwork waiting inside the monstrosity that you've made. You just got to keep working at it. And part of it is, like, obviously skill level and knowledge and stuff. Like, if you don't know what it is you're looking for to fix, like if you don't know how to fix something, then obviously you're going to have a much harder time. But if you keep working at it, we're pretty good pattern recognition machines. And there's a thing in our mind that's basically like, no, this is wrong because of X. Like, this is wrong because the nose doesn't look right, or because the eye doesn't look right, or whatever the fuck it happens to be. So your brain does actually know what the problem is. You've just got to figure out what it is, and then sort of go from there, which is frustrating because your brain could just tell you, but it often doesn't, especially if you're not like formally trained to look for the things that are wrong in an image. But like if you can start to sort of like slowly work on things, especially if you're using like a digital medium, if you're working in digital art, it's great because you can save a copy of it and then just keep fucking around with it until you find the thing that's wrong. And then once you've found the thing that's wrong, all you need to do is go back to the original one that you have not fucked around with and fix that one thing that was the problem. Or the, 3 or 4 things that, it happens to end up being. Which is like inevitably the case as well, because it's like it's always going to be like 1 or 2 things that just don't work, and it's usually a hey, new units placed. It's usually like one section and it's like it's angled wrong or something like that, especially with like faces, because we're so used to seeing and recognizing faces that like as soon as something is misangled, we're like, no, it's wrong, it's fucked up, the whole thing's ruined. So like that eye, for example, and the mouth before was sort of like angled just off, and so it made the whole artwork look weird. Now she still kind of looks like stern-faced and grumpy, but like it makes sense at least. The artwork makes sense now. This mouth still is going to need changing ever so slightly. The shadows on the face are going to need changing because the angle on them is wrong of the lighting. I think the angle of this nose might need to be abridged ever so slightly. It's a little harsh, so I might need to either curve it up or draw it back down. And then soften this chin ever so slightly, and that will probably fix the problems. But essentially it's just like angular issues. It's not like huge breaks in the artwork. And like that's the trick. That's what study and formal education helps you find. And you can get all of that basically just from practice. If you keep practicing at it, eventually you can recognize those things on your own, and you don't need the assistance or the formalized training or the whatever it happens to be, because some people will use like heavy reference images and things like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm literally using reference images right now, but like it's a thing. Oh. There we go. Now I'm going to save this because I haven't yet, and that's very stupid. Because we could have just lost all that work. How do you spell... What? Faun? That's not right, is it? I'm going to Google it. Faun? Yeah, it is just... It is just Faun. Okay. Cool. Surf. Alright, we're getting there. She's looking better. Hope everybody is having a good day. My day's not been too bad. I was teaching, but I managed to get a bit of art done, which was nice. Working on the Oracle cards, my divination card deck. So I've got a whole bunch of the older cards that need sort of revitalizing a little. And I've been working on just inking those up. And just cleaning up some of the edges so that I can go over them with a marker. Which is exciting. And yeah, I've noticed that, like, I've talked about this on stream before, and it makes sense for, you know, the type of stream that we're doing, because we're currently streaming for, that's not how you spell charity. Jeez, come on, artist. There we go. Because the charity we're promoting at the moment is Man's Mental Health for Movember. Our lovely Faun Cognitive Bard is doing a Movember charity drive. He's been doing it for the last 2 years, I believe. But I'm a huge proponent of supporting men's mental health and men's health in general, because I think there isn't really enough of a push for it in society, and it's one of the big things that will, like, super help, like, everything, basically. It's another big thing of, like, people go, oh, well, you know, what's gonna help society, whatever. Rights for women is a huge thing in like early societies. As soon as you give women, like, broad rights that are equaling to and at some points in the excess of what you give to men, suddenly the benefits to society broadly is significantly more than, like, any other social program or you know, welfare system or whatever that you can put in. As soon as you give women rights to work and own property and vote and contribute to social systems and give them like bodily autonomy and rights over, like, reproductive rights, just like basic birth control and things like that, suddenly the benefits to society, like, skyrocket, because not having half of your population tied up in just baby making and looking after babies is suddenly very beneficial to society, apparently. Surprising no one. But sort of in line with that same thinking, half of the population struggle with a whole bunch of issues around, like, the expectations on them, around their health, their physical health, and then their mental health. And if we were to sort of work on that quite heavily, and actually get some significant gains in that department, you know, the mortality rate would just plummet, because a lot of deaths, like avoidable deaths, are men who you know, whether through violence or whether through disease, or workplace accidents, suicides, all these sorts of things. There is a huge benefit to assisting men, sort of socially for society in general, but also for individuals, because there are a lot of men out there who are doing it tough, and if we can assist, that's awesome. It's also an important thing to me personally, because I've gone through these sorts of issues. I had mental health issues when I was younger. And still I would be considered neurodivergent in various different ways. But just generally speaking, like, I have issues with sort of mild anxiety and depression at times. Surprising no one, I have dyslexia, and I have some mild learning difficulties, which have caused a lot of issues in the past for me, and make learning and schooling quite difficult, but I did manage to get through it, luckily, with a lot of help and support from family and from friends and some decent teachers, which is awesome. But if we can sort of push for that to be recognized and to work on, we can do some amazing things as a society. So that's what we're pushing for today, men's mental health. I had a thing. Oh, that's what I was going to say. almost missed the point entirely. The point I was going to make, with my long arse spiel there, was that art is incredibly therapeutic for me. I know that it is for other people, and if you are struggling with mental health, you might want to look into art making, not as a thing to. Here's the caveat with that. If you're a perfectionist, if you're someone who's going to look at the art and be like, oh, it's not good enough because it's not as good as, X artist's work or whatever. Someone who's been working for 20 plus years, 30 plus years or whatever, then you're probably not going to benefit as much. Maybe still a little bit, but probably not as much. But the idea being that if you can make art just to express yourself or just to occupy your mind for a little bit, it's super beneficial and therapeutic for the brain. And I find that if I don't make art for a while, I get really depressed. And if I do make art, generally, not always, but generally, it can turn even a really shitty day into a good day. So I don't like my job. I don't like teaching. There are parts in it that are alright. There are parts in it that are good. But it's not something I'm passionate about. It's not something I honestly enjoy doing, and there are things in it that just frustrate me to no end, and those are daily occurrences, so they're really difficult to get around as concepts. But if I can make art while I'm doing it, if I can sort of semi-distract myself, then things tend to go really well. And so making art is one of the sort of saving graces of teaching as a job, in between telling off kids for hitting each other and being just the most stupid. I get to doodle and make little artworks and teach art, which is actually what I enjoy doing, but I don't get to do it enough. And it's very shoehorned as a thing once you get into teaching full time. Unfortunately, there isn't the level of freedom that you would otherwise want. Unfortunately, or at least I would want. And there's always the struggle of kids don't want to learn. There's a lot of kids who just do not give a shit or do not want to give a shit. And there's sort of nothing you can do about that as a teacher. like a lack of appreciation for art and other things is a big thing in my area. And it's very disappointing. But that's life, especially life out here in the country. Hey, so we've got 2 minutes before our next little raid fight. So if you're keen to join, get in there. Do I still have the... I do not. Let me just copy and paste it for people who have come into the chat late. Or later, I guess is probably the better way to say that. Feel free to click on that link. Unfortunately, it's only for people who are watching live. So if you're watching on the VOD, apologies, you don't get to join in with the game. But if you manage to catch a stream, we stream Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on Australian Eastern Standard Time, and we usually stream from about 8:30. I started a little earlier today just because I was tired and I didn't want to go too late. So I'm trying to sort of preempt that by starting early. See if that actually works as a thing. Because I say that and then I'm gonna keep working for ages. If you are watching the VOD, if you're out there in VOD land, feel free to... I don't know exactly how you would do this, but like, feel free to leave me something somewhere, so I know. I also am putting some stuff up on YouTube at the moment. It's just the New World Artist on YouTube, so if you want to go and check that out. Mostly it's my art streams that are up there at the moment, and I put all the Pokemon streams up as well. I haven't really edited any of them. They're literally just the live stream. So if you're keen on that, go and check it out. But yeah, if you're watching, leave a comment somewhere. I have a about me in a suggestion box in the about me down there, or you can DM me and just let me know, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you would like me to do more of, and just let me know if you are actually watching, the VODs or whatever, and can't catch the stream at the time it's on. Because if that's the case, I might try and focus on having some more stuff happening in the streams, or whatever, having more stuff happening. Because I notice I tend not to talk as much, I tend not to engage as much if there's not many people in the chat. And I don't want it to be like just me not talking for, 10-15 minutes if there is someone who's watching the VOD and would otherwise be able to sort of interact except for the fact that, they're not there at the right time, kind of thing. Yeah, I don't want you to miss out. All right, so we're gonna jump back over to our little stream raid. Let's see if we can win. We've got a bunch of people in for this final battle. We're doing pretty well. We're definitely being carried by some of the other members here. Again, we're just going to grant them randomly to people. Cool. Boss defeated. Alright, and we're going to continue on with our fighting. Is this a thing? No? flag bearer that we can unlock. Cool. We can also upgrade them. Awesome. And then we're gonna fight through. So which way do we want to go? Do we reckon we could do these big fights if we've got a few people here? We could take the easy route down the bottom here. I think if we just go through the middle. If we just run through this middle section, that probably is the best way to do it. Alright, cool. We're in. Get back to this. Yeah, so we've Cog's been pushing pretty hard for the, like, you know, face your demons, talk about the mental health struggles and all that kind of stuff on stream. And I think that's important because I think a lot of people as well sort of struggle with this idea of, like, they're alone in their mental health issues. And part of it is like, yeah, it's you know, it's your thing, it's in your head. Or it's like part of your body or whatever, and so in your psyche, it's difficult to get away from that as a concept. Sort of reasonable and fair enough as an idea. I'm gonna see if I can just do this back here. Just want to add a little bit more. But I also think that there's a bit of like, you're not really alone in these things because lots of people face these same issues, and it's actually really common to have, like, some kind of mental health struggle. And even people who, like, really have their lives together, you know, struggle with mental health and have these same kind of issues. So I have my life fairly together now. I have worked very hard to get to that point. But from an outsider's perspective, it would be sort of fairly easy to just assume that you know, I had my shit together, and have always had my shit together. But in reality, I struggled with mental health issues for quite a while, especially when I was much younger. I had, I mentioned this on yesterday's stream, and I think I've mentioned it before on other streams, but I had a couple of partners, a few actually, who were quite abusive. So I've had intimate partner violence and intimate partner abuse, IPV and IPA, which is sort of in the broad category of like domestic violence as a thing. And via that then struggled with, and also prior to that point, but because of like learning difficulties and dyslexia and other issues, but specifically because of the sort of intimate partner violence, I struggled with issues of depression and, like who I was as a person and what I was supposed to be and what it meant to be, like a man or whatever. And so I sort of struggled with those ideas for quite a long time. And I don't know if this is going to actually be helpful for anybody, but like how I dealt with it is kind of, it's not the best way to deal with these sorts of things, but it worked for me, and so I'll sort of express it as an idea. But there is a concept that's like fake it till you make it, and like when applied to mental health, the general idea is like if you can pretend to yourself, not to other people necessarily, and not just pretend in a like, oh well, I'll pretend, but I still like I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm not going to like I'm not getting better kind of thing. But like if you can pretend and convince yourself that your mental health is better than it is, and then use that as like a stepping off point to then do the things that would actually make you better, that's super beneficial as a thing, and that's sort of how I managed to get myself out of some quite bad mental health funks. And so what I mean by that is like, I would be in a hyper-depressive mood, and I'd be like, the world sucks, everything sucks. I literally can't live in it. Having like suicidal thoughts. I'm struggling with like who I'm supposed to be and my view of the world. Like everything is shattered at this point. Even just like things that are supposed to be the case aren't the case anymore for me at the time anyway. And so I was like, okay, that is the case, and that sucks. But also, like there's this thing I'm going to do, and it's going to make things better. There's this thing that I'm gonna do, and it will make me someone else. Like I am a different person, or I'm whatever. And part of this is like escapism, the idea of like escaping yourself or escaping your situation, which is not super healthy, but it does help in the short term. And so you sort of like grab onto that idea of, okay, well, if I'm someone else and I'm someone who doesn't have these mental health problems, then I can go out and go for a walk, and I can go and exercise. And if you can do that, there are actually benefits to getting out and exercising, and that not all the time for every person, but like broadly speaking, that's a thing that is helpful to mental health. I can't eat this food. I don't feel hungry. I feel disgusting or whatever. And then nope, I'm a person who's super hungry right now. So you convince yourself that you're super hungry, and then you eat the thing, even if you have to choke it down. And then having done so afterwards, like, you will start to feel a little better. And if you can kind of keep this up as an idea of like, right now I have to be this other person, or right now I have to do this thing, and it will, you know, be something else, or right now I'm happy. And so you just kind of keep saying you're happy over and over again. And then eventually, if you tell yourself the lie long enough, you kind of convince yourself that it's true, at least for a short period of time. And that short period of time is often enough to, like, jumpstart mental health. A mental health professional will probably say that this is a terrible idea, but good for a short-term period. I'll be honest, I used it for way too long. So now I kind of am stuck with some other issues, some people would say. But it was super helpful in getting me out of, like, depression. I essentially, like, gamified not being depressed. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this thing, and that gives me points, and points get me happiness or something, and like use that to get out of some quite serious mental health issues. Like, there was a period of time where I was like listening to songs and being like, okay, the next thing that comes up on the song I have to do or whatever. And there's a song by Placebo called 20 Years to Go. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. But basically that stopped me from killing myself for the longest time. There was like a period of like 2 years where I was like properly suicidal. And that song was like, okay, you have to live 20 more years. And I know that sounds stupid and it doesn't make sense at the time. And like looking back on it, like, yeah, any point at any time I could have just turned around and been like, no, I'm gonna do it right now. But like, the idea of having a goal that I had to like reach, that I had to like get to the 20 years before I was allowed to do it. And I was convinced for ages that I was gonna like get to, not to 20 years old, as in like I had to live another 20 years. So I think I was gonna be, I don't remember the exact 30s. I would have been in my 30s, later 30s, I think. But the general idea was like, okay, I'll get to my late 30s and then that's it. I'm just fucking cocking. I don't give a shit where I'm at in my life. I can have a wife and kids. Like, it's gonna go. But that's where I was at in my mind. And having the kind of the deadline meant that I wasn't like obsessing over it anymore, because I was like, okay, it's on the calendar, it's gonna happen when, like, we'll get to it when we get to it, kind of thing. And that weirdly sort of helped. And I think it kind of helped me mainly just because I'm a headstrong bastard. But I don't know if this is doing what I want it to do. Let's just erase this for a second, because I don't think that bit is quite doing what we wanted. Anyway, let's get back to this. Yeah, so that's a thing. Anyway. Let's see if we can fix up this eye a little. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to be fixing up this eye, but we're gonna work on something here. do, 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 do. Right, 15 minutes, and then we're doing our stream raid once again. So if you want to get in on that. So I think we're probably going to talk a little bit more on Thursday about some of the things with you know, my past demons and my past struggles. So I won't go into too much detail here, I think. But just to say, like, it happens to lots of people. Don't feel you're alone in this. If you are struggling, or if you like if you are dealing with mental health struggles, it's a super common thing that lots of people go through. And specifically, if you are a man facing intimate partner or domestic violence, or if you're a woman and facing it, or a you know, any other gender, make sure that you seek help and support. There is definitely support out there for men in particular. It's not great, but there are some places you can go to. I can, if you DM me, I can put you through to some resources in particular. But I know it can be difficult, and especially for men, there's a thing of like, oh, you know, I'm not being the man. I should just you know, take it or whatever. And just know you don't have to. That's not a thing. Suffering for love is not actually a thing that you are supposed to do. And the people who try and sort of push that idea on you, because I had it pushed on me, it's, you know, that's not healthy, and you know, it's reasonable to recognize that that's not healthy, and to say, you know, hey, look, this is not helping me at all. This is not, you know, it's not helping the relationship. It's actually just manipulative and abusive. So don't feel you have to struggle through that. You definitely don't have to struggle through it alone. There are lots of people who would be more than willing to help and assist, if you just go out and ask. Be here for you. And ladies, same goes. It's not your fault ever if you know, if you get hit, or if someone else gets violent in a situation. Like, that's never your fault. in the situation, and don't believe or don't accept it if someone else tries to claim that as the case, because it is not, and it's not appropriate, and we don't put up with that bullshit in this community. A thing for artists, as I was talking before, like people who want to make art and struggle with like the demoralizing aspects of what comes with art. So like the idea of you start making an artwork and then you are comparing yourself to every other artist that you've seen before or whatever. One of the things that I think is important when making art, and also when comparing your art to other people's, is recognizing how long they've been making art for. So it's a good thing to, like, if you are struggling with comparing yourself to someone else, just ask them how long they've been making art for. You will very quickly get a sense of like what the gap in like practice, continuous practice is, which is a big thing. That's an important aspect of it. And then the other side of it is once you've sort of gone through that, because not everybody is at the same level at all times. So like they might be closer than you might think to you or whatever. They haven't been practicing for as long. The other thing that is important to sort of note in this is like how long and how much effort did they put into that particular artwork. So I have pulled a fairly impressive and realistic artwork out here. I have been practicing since I was 5 years old making art. I am now 33 this year. I think. I'll have to double check that. But that means I've been practicing for maths 18 years, approximately. No, that's not right. Maths is hard. 32 minus 5, 28? 28 years. And obviously, like, that, not all very serious when I was much younger, but like having that much time to practice techniques, having that much time to hone particular concepts, to get used to like thinking about how an eye is structured, or what particular colors work together, or how like flashes of light work on wet surfaces or dry surfaces, or skin tones or things like that. Oh, Lizzie Bell is still at work, and it's 10 o'clock. yeah, it's a lot. It's a long time to get used to, like, knowing how various different structures work in the body, and that's an important distinction. Like that, you're someone who is picking it up later on in life, or who hasn't had formal training or whatever, won't have those skills necessarily. Won't have those things to fall back on and rely on as concepts. So that's also something that you should be aware of. And then the other thing is, like, literally just how long they've been working on this artwork. So I have been working on this artwork for 2 hours now, of straight solid work, doing nothing else. A little bit distracted here and there, but like focusing pretty heavily on like getting everything structured. But what you didn't see prior to the stream was me organizing what this was going to look like. I found reference images, which, you know, took me 15 minutes, but was 15 minutes of me like working out what I was going to do, how I wanted to structure it, where I wanted to put things, what that structuring looked like, etc., etc. So there was a process involved, and that process was more than just like picking images and then being like, okay, it's done. It was like, okay, I'm taking the color from this section, I'm taking the eye from this section, I'm taking the facial structure from this section, and in my mind, putting them all together and mashing them and creating the image in my head, so that when I came to actually putting it down on the page, I already had sort of the brief overview and then some very specific details done in my mind. So that's like 15-20 minutes worth of work to add to the like 2 hours worth of work that I've done on it. And I've also then gone in and done these very, very specific sections. So there's very rough sections down here, there's very rough sections in the face, but I've made a point of doing the eye very closely. I've made a point of doing this braid very closely, and the ear very closely, and these horns a little bit more detailed. And then I've left some stuff really roughshod. And I know that the human brain is going to focus on certain things over other things. It's going to focus on eyes, noses, mouths, ears, because humans are pattern recognition creatures, so we focus on those things first. And if those things are off, if they're not proportional, if they're not in the right place, and if they don't look right, if they don't have enough detail in them, then the rest of the image looks weird. But the rest of the image can just be like blur, essentially. And as long as those fine details are in the eyes and the mouth and the nose, everything else can be nothing. It can essentially just be a blurry mass. And your brain won't really have any issue with it. So learning which sections you can sort of scrimp the detail on is also an important part of it. And that takes practice. Again, things that like other people do. So if you are struggling and you're comparing your work to someone else's, and you know that's causing you distress, maybe just stop and ask them how long they spent on it, how long they've been working for to get to this level of skill, and then if after that it's still pretty comparable and your stuff is not looking like their stuff, then you can kind of be like, no, the world sucks. But prior to that point, you should try and like give it half a second of rethinking. and this is coming from myself, who clearly has struggled in the past with like imposter syndrome and, you know, things not being right, I guess. Yeah, nothing kills motivation faster than looking at other people's work. Look at someone else doing amazing things and then be like, oh fuck, I can't do that. Even I literally do it all the time, and I hate myself for it, because I'll look at someone else's work and be like, oh fuck, like I can see how they did that, and I can see how they did this, but I can't make me do that because my art style just doesn't do that as a thing. And like, it's super demoralizing, but I've been working for so long that like I know there's just some things I'm never gonna do. There's some things that I'm just not that I'm not capable of it, but like, it's not my art style. I don't do that as a thing. And to expect myself to like push into that as a concept and be like perfect at all the things is just, it would be irresponsible from a mental health perspective to expect myself to be able to do that. But you know, you can't help what your brain says all the time. You can teach yourself not to do things, not to focus on things. But welcome back! You get the same thing with writing. You wanted to be an author, but you've come to terms now that you'll never publish because your work will never be on the same level as books you've read. So, no, absolutely do not do that. Publish the book. Write the book, publish the book. Because that book is still going to be 100 times better than all of the other unpublished books, or all the books that people like There's people out there with no experience and no skill who just put bullshit out into the world, and with full confidence being like, no, I'm amazing. The thing I've made is going to be amazing. Tia, what's the matter? Oh, do you need to go to the toilet? Okay, well let's start this battle, and then I'll go on with whinging. But publish the fucking book, do it. Apologies. Da, da, da. Alright, there we go. Get to that. Yeah, so as I was saying, No, don't listen to the voice in your head. Absolutely do publish it. Finish writing it and publish it. So I have had a friend, in quotations, because we weren't super close. But I had a friend in high school, and in high school, so while they were still a teenager, they published 2 books, I believe, and they were like the standard young adult fiction bullshit. Not good by any stretch of the imagination. But they published them, and they didn't do amazingly, but they did okay, and what it did was it got them a foot in the door, so then they had the ability to, like, work with people who had more experience and who had this kind of, like, concept of gravitas around their work and that kind of stuff. And so then this person managed to sort of build some skills and some following of people. And there were people who absolutely fucking loved these books. Like, let's not forget that Twilight is a fucking thing. And that's terrible. And even worse, 50 Shades of Grey is a thing, which is literally just Twilight fanfiction. So, like, don't ever feel bad comparing yourself to, like, the greats, because, you know, you're still working out what you're doing. You're still young, and you're not going to be a Tolkien straight away. You're not going to be a Patrick Rothfuss. Like, that, you have to work up to that. You will, you know, publish some shitty things, you'll publish some okay things, you'll get better and better, and eventually you will make the masterpiece, or your magnum opus or whatever. But you have to work to that point. You can't just be great to begin with. No one is great to begin with. Like, even the like genius masters had to practice and struggle and get better. Yeah, they might have had an eye for it to begin with, but, like, you still have to practice at getting better with technique. So don't discount yourself just because you've compared yourself to other authors and think you're not good enough. That's not the right thing to do. You should absolutely publish the book. And if you need any like second opinions in that, Lizzie Bell is also a poet and an author. We have another friend who is an author. I think there's one other person in the group who, like, does writing, like copywriting. So there's a few people in the group who have writerly backgrounds, and would be able to be like, hey, yeah, this is good work, this is, or like, this is how you could improve this, or this is where you can take this concept, and not just in a, like, oh, they know better than you, but just like a second pair of eyes of people who are, like, studied and practiced in these kinds of things, to help you develop things further and throw ideas back and forth from. Yeah, don't count yourself out just because you think you're not as good as something else. The published books in the store go through like 20 different versions just to get to that. If you've written a book and you haven't gone through at least 20 different drafts of it, then you can't compare the book you've made to the book in the store, because they're not the same thing at all. They're entirely different things. It's like comparing yourself to the Mona Lisa, when, like, it's your first painting. Like, it just doesn't... You've never gotten constructive feedback. You just get, it was good. Okay, yeah, so have you been sending it to other authors? Have you been sending it to people who write for a living or read extensively for a living? If not, that might be the problem. If you're just sending it to like friends or family members or whatever, they probably don't know how to talk about it. They probably don't know how to express what it is they liked about it, or what it is they disliked about it, or what it is that like hooked them or didn't. People generally don't have a great grasp on language and devices, language devices. That's why English is a really difficult subject for a lot of people. And people tend to do like standard English rather than like any advanced level. But yeah, no, definitely talk to Lizzie Bell at some point. Get her to have a look over if you still have the manuscript somewhere, your draft somewhere. Get her to look over it. Because she one day wants to be published as well. And too struggles with like imposter syndrome and all that kind of stuff. So you'll probably be able to. You have all your works. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, get on Lizzie Bell. Talk to her. We'll organize something. We'll figure out how to do this. How am I gonna... Deluca Guti? How do I pronounce this? How do I pass your name? Hey, how you going? Welcome to my channel. I'm not sure how you found me. I'm assuming you found me via just looking for art stuff. So there's a little bit of spiel about me, who I am. We are currently working... I said it right, awesome. Because it sounded like I butchered it myself. But we're working on this currently. And we're talking about mental health and art things and struggling with imposter syndrome and all that kind of stuff. You get past the start and then it's like, what's next? The middle I get confused on which way to go. You know the checkpoints to go, but not the path. Right, okay. Well, that's just storyboarding and story elements. So you have an end point, you have a start point, you have a bunch of checkpoints that you have to get to, and then storyboarding is, and character development is essentially the next step. And like, that's not too difficult of a thing to do. You can absolutely work with someone else on that as a concept, like getting someone else to throw ideas back and forth about what certain characters would do. The other option is, and I've seen a few different authors do this, and a few different artists do this before, is have your characters like play them by chance, like you would a D&D game. So like the idea being that you roll a dice for the decision that they would make, and then you make sure that decision is sort of within the decision tree of something that they would reasonably do. So an example would be like, you have a character that needs to, get into a town for a particular reason. They're fairly upstanding as a citizen, but they know they're not allowed to be in this town, and so the decision is, do they sneak in illegally, or do they try and like convince their way in? And what's the two options? Both of them are things that they would kind of perceive to do, that they would conceivably do, but that would have like moral outcomes either way. And so then you like, if you literally just can't work out which option is the better option, or which option they would take, then roll the dice and see where it goes. See, like, if you don't like it in the end, you can always just go with the other option. So, it's no harm or loss done in the end. But having that as an option, as a way of sort of working your way around, can be useful. You threw your D&D group into the world to check it was as functional as a world, you guess. Yeah, no, that's good. That's great. That is a really good way to check whether or not things actually work. If you try and play a D&D campaign in your universe, or if you just chuck your characters, like other characters from other books or stories, into the story, and then say, okay, can these characters function in this universe? Why not? And what like things do they come up against? What moral issues do they come up against that mean they can't live here? And is that a bad thing or is that a good thing? And do I need to explore that as something like... Obviously a necromancer is going to have trouble in certain places, but like, what does a thief do in this world? What does like a holy paladin do in this world? All those things are important. And will help sort of develop and drive plot, because there will absolutely be instances in which like an upstanding citizen will have to deal with someone who is of lesser standing, and like what are the townsguard, what do they think of that? Anyway, you get the idea. Okay, the puppy is back inside, so I'm going to close the door. Delukaga. I think I'm saying that correctly. What brings you here? What are you doing with your day? Tell us a bit about yourself. There is my Instagram if you want to check out some of my art. Some of the things that I do. I'm just going to change this song because hopefully the music is loud enough in the background there. Or not too loud, I guess. Try and have it be like good background music, but it doesn't always quite strike that right balance. So if it's too loud, do let me know. Alright, I think what we want to do with this is actually bend it down. I could just redraw it, but I'm lazy. What should I use for this? Cage. Mesh. Mesh is probably the way to do this. No, mesh is not the way to do this. Liquefy. Again, probably not. Too slow. We can do that afterwards. So this is the problem with like me and digital techniques. Perspective? No. I mean, honestly, I just want to kind of do this. And then... That's a little better. Right, that'll do. I just want it to flow a little bit more with the, like the contour of the body and gravity, because it wasn't quite cutting it there. All right, let's fix up this little back zone. That's better. Julio. Alright, let's see if we can fix this chin. A little better. Just trying to round it out a little. She's a little too angular. At least for what I'm going for anyway. Alright, 10 minutes before we do our little stream raid. There is the link if you need it. So yeah, as I was sort of going over before, and it will be kind of just rehashing the same thing, but like, don't compare yourselves to other things. It is only going to, like, it's good to compare yourself to other things in terms of like recognizing technique and doing studies and things like that, but you shouldn't compare your own work to other people's work as a point of merit, because it just inevitably you'll just end up feeling like shit, because you will value their work highly because it's new and it's different and it's not your own, so you don't see the flaws in it necessarily, or as closely as you would your own work. And then there's also a fairly strong aspect of like, you don't recognize or look at the amount of effort and time and detail and editing and back and forth and all that kind of stuff that goes into very polished, finished things. So like you can comfortably watch me here working on this artwork, and you can see how long it's taking to do, but you're also probably not noticing all the issues with it that I'm noticing, all the things that are going wrong that I'm having to sort of slowly fix as I go along, or things that I'm just actively ignoring because I'm like, well, hopefully I don't hate them later, or they go away on their own. And like, writing is no different, poetry is no different, music is no different. The only way you get better is through practice, and you can't like use other people's skill level or other people's things as a metric of where you're at necessarily, because they're completely different, they're working on their own thing, and you will inevitably like miss the things that they are actually doing to work on that. Like the many hundreds of hours that Tolkien spent on world building before even starting the book. Same with Patrick Rothfuss is talked about, like he's spent endless hours just world building, just character developing, before even like getting into writing the story. He had to have like a solid idea of who these characters were and where they're going and what's happening to them. And like if you haven't put in that much time, or if you haven't thought about the amount of hours that you put in thinking and writing out like what these characters are doing, then like it's hard to compare yourself to that, is sort of what I'm trying to say there, I guess. I suppose the thing is that the story you want to publish, but how much practice it will take before you're happy with it enough to make it public. Been thinking about such characters for 15 years and writing in between. Yeah, but like how solidly have you been working on that? Like is it literally writing about these characters every single day, or is it kind of like thinking about them in the background, or thinking about them for like a month or two and then coming back to it? And it absolutely could be that you're thinking about them every single day, and that's awesome. That means you should have a fairly strong handle of, who these characters are, and then it's just a matter of like putting them into the story and seeing where they fit into the story and how that story develops around them and that kind of stuff. It also sounds like, to me, it's specifically in your case, Fire, that you actually do have a fairly strong story, or a fairly strong like concept, and it's just that you haven't actually ever gotten decent feedback. Because if all the feedback you've ever gotten is like people being like, oh yeah, it's good, ... like that's not enough to work off. You need someone who can actually like critique the work, actually point to a section and be like, this works, this doesn't, or like this character's motivation is off, or like ask you questions about the storyline to try and prompt further development. And that's not to shit on the people who, you know, tried to give you critique in the past. It just might be that they don't have the skills. Like, not everybody can critique a story. Not everybody can, you know, critique an artwork. That it's a skill. Often it's a learnt skill. This hairline was bugging the crap out of me, and I couldn't work out what it was. So, like, in trying to follow the reference images for these ones, all the hair is swept back, and I did a front fringe, and I was like, why isn't it looking the same? Yeah, it's just wasn't following the reference. Just being an idiot. If we get rid of these, how's that looking? Not bad. We could do with getting rid of some of this here, though. So the plan with this is going in a portfolio just generally for art, but also specifically for my tattoo portfolio. So hopefully this helps land me a tattoo apprenticeship, and I will be stabbing people repeatedly to give them art. Hey, looks like the battle's about to begin! You would work on it, get writer's block, think about some of the characters for a few months, years, and then come back to the story, scrap what had already written and restart, and then cycle. Okay, yeah. So, that's a pretty common one. If you haven't been working on it consistently, and if you haven't been working on it, like, as discrete sections and elements, if you're like, just getting rid of stuff and restarting, or changing things on the fly after having block for ages, like, the story isn't going to be consistent and develop in a consistent fashion. And so you're going to struggle with that. It's also going to struggle in your mind because you have this idea of where the story is going and where it's been, but it hasn't been developing as you have been developing. It's like it's gone in blocks kind of thing. So again, part of this will be finding someone you can bounce ideas off and finding someone that can properly critique your work, like intensely. But it sounds like you've been working on it for long enough that everything should be fairly well organized in your head, that you would be able to just sort of put it together. Anyway, let's start this fight. Fight on! Oh, I died. Oh, we're struggling. We might get this. But there's a few things still to go, and we've only got, what, 2? No, we're not going to make it. Oh no! We lost! Rip, guys. Alright, let's try that again, I think. And I'll put the warrior in. I was hoping I'd be able to just I was hoping I'd be able to just, like, tank it with the archer, but clearly it's not a high enough level yet. Alright, get in there. Put in your army. Maybe you need someone to bounce ideas off or to organize a story, you guess. Yeah, exactly. So, if you can get something like that, I'm sure Lizzie Bell would be more than happy. And like, obviously, you don't have to. It's your book. It's your story. You do whatever you want or need to do for it. But like, there is definitely an aspect of having someone else look at it and be able to help with, you know, developing the story elements, especially when you're like, it's that thing of like when you get into an art block, like for writing or art or what, you know, whatever it happens to be, just being around other people who are doing creative things and who are thinking creatively can help sort of re-spark and reignite that funk, get that funk out of your head. Because I always struggle with art block as well, and then I just like make random shit and doodle and fuck around, and eventually something comes out of it that's like half decent. But you have to kind of push through it, and you need something to push back against. So like I will go on Instagram and like look at a whole bunch of different art, or I'll watch an art streamer, or I'll, you know, watch a tutorial video or whatever, and then just making inane shit, like just literally just doodling, drawing circles or fucking whatever, usually helps to like get that little bit of creative juice flowing that then carries me back into like having the creative process again, because it's not always going to work, but like if you can kind of trick yourself like I was saying before, trick yourself into mental health. If you trick yourself into being like, no, I am being a productive artist, eventually you can just be a productive artist like that. Alright, this is coming together. What on earth are we listening to? There we go. Alright, now having two layers is starting to actually be a detriment, so let's merge the layers together, and then we will start refining things here. Yeah, as I say repeatedly on this stream, I wouldn't take my advice like as gospel, because obviously, like, I'm just some guy, but I have had a lot of experiences in the world. I have done a lot of things, especially for how old I am. I've done a fair bit more than, like, most of the people my age or most of the people around me. And that's not to try and brag or anything, but just to be like, you know, I have experienced a lot of things, good and bad. And so I'm not just like trying to talk out of my ass, but by the same token, like, my experiences aren't the same as your experiences. The things that you do that work for you might not necessarily work for me, and vice versa. Like, talking about the, you know, tricking yourself into being mentally healthy, which is how I got through some quite dark mental health issues. That absolutely would not work on everyone, and I'm well aware of that. And it might be like entirely the wrong advice for you, for you know, if that's not how your personality works. In the same way, these kind of like discussions around art, if you have a particularly strong like competitive drive, looking at other people's artwork and comparing yourself to them might be super useful for like driving you onwards to, you know, do better things or whatever. But that kind of personality is quite rare. Whereas I've noticed a lot of creative types, at least in my experience, and the kind of creative types that I've hung around, are more in the camp of, you know, existing mental health issues, and then also like struggling with things like imposter syndrome, things like that kind of time blindness, and effort blindness, where they can't recognize in someone else's work the amount of effort that's gone into it, or the amount of time that's gone into developing practice or developing a particular artwork. And so I think it's important to like point that out to some people sometimes, because like even I need reminding of it at times. I look at people who can do photorealism, and I'm working on my realism like over time, but that's a conscious effort to like start developing these skills, because for the longest time I would look at people who can do photorealism and be like, oh fuck, I can't do art, like I'm not an artist, just because other people could like do photorealistic portraiture or photorealistic animals or whatever. And that's a very particular skill that you have to like put in time and effort to develop, and like conscious effort to understand how you know, light works and structure works and gravity works, and like there's a lot of physics involved in the understanding of the art making. Lots of maths and geometry, and then like particular shading techniques and stuff, and it's not the style of art I started with, and so, you know, I've never been particularly good at it. I'm getting better over time because I'm now putting the effort into trying to learn it, but I can't compare myself to other people who've been doing it for a very long time, even though I, as an artist, have been making art for a long time, because it's a different skill set. It's a different thing than I've been doing to what they've been doing. And I haven't seen the many, many hours of practice that they've done just in realism to get to that point. I might see, you know, like the hours of practice they put into being an artist in general, but not the specific, like, hey, they've only been focusing on this one thing for like 3 years or whatever, 4 years. And so they've gotten really good at this one technique. And so I shouldn't compare myself to that one technique, because of course I'm not going to be as good at that technique, because I haven't been spending years and years practicing it. But it's hard to tell yourself that. Like, it's hard to recognize in yourself that that's a thing, and to be comfortable being like, no, it's okay to like not be as good as this other person. It's okay and it will still be a good thing. Because sort of twofold, there's people out there who confidently put out like just utter dog shit, and people love it. Like Stephanie Meyer and whatever her name is are best-selling authors. What's his name? Australian artist. Why am I blanking on this artist's name? Anyway, he does like Sydney landscapes, and they're like, they look like a child has painted them. Famous artist, Jackson Pollock. Yes, there is a lot more to it, but like, Jackson Pollock is a world famous multi-million-dollar art name. Comparing yourself to that is a particularly silly thing to do. But like, people love it, and there's, you know, there's effort and time that went into it, and so people appreciate it, and they pay for it, because of course they do. So like, never feel like you're not good enough to showcase your work, or like publish your work, put out your work, put it on Instagram, whatever the case is. Never feel like you're not good enough for that, because clearly there are people who are not as good as you, and are putting that out there. So, you know, get on it. And then the other side of it is like, you have to work at getting somewhere. So if it's going to be the thing that you want to put out there, if that artwork you really want to be, you know, out there and perfect, yeah, you can spend years and years working on it, and it will get better and better over time. But the other side of it is like, eventually you do just have to put it out there, and then the second artwork you make is going to be better than the first artwork, and the third artwork you make is going to be even better than the second one. And that's how like a practice develops. That's how you end up with like a body of work that is, you know, good over time, kind of thing. And people will love your first work, like vehemently. There will be people who'll be like, no, this is the best one in the series, the first one was the best, even if you don't think that to be the case. Like, it's the wrong thing to say, but like, there's no accounting for taste. There are going to be people who will love the thing that you hate about your work. This comes up a lot whenever I'm doing like HSC work with kids. Like, so the HSC is like a final exam. It's your major schooling, your last year of your schooling, before you go to like university or off to work or trade school or whatever. And in the HSC art, you have to make an exhibition, a body of work, some major project. And often the kids will come with like this really lofty goal of this thing they want to make. And there'll be some aspect of it that they don't like, that the teachers will inevitably like, this is the strongest aspect of the work, lean into this. And they will just hate it because that's the thing they don't like about the work. Oh, Lizzie Bell! Oh, Dying Love. C'est toi. Can't talk. Dying.
I mean, I did just work for
You did.
14 and a half hours straight.
Too many hours.
I only had one break, and my break was interrupted like 3 or 4 times.
Sorry, lover.
Nice stream.
Will an artwork make it better?
Oh, that's cool.
So it was These three. Then became this.
I like it. Are you making a redhead picture for me?
I wasn't, but I guess you can have it.
I mean, not like for me, but because I like redheads.
Yeah.
Wait, were you talking about me?
Yes, we were absolutely talking about you. So, we were talking about mental health, and we were talking about not comparing yourself to other artists and other, like, people when you're creating things and making things.
Yeah.
And Firelight Chaos was saying that they want to publish a book, and for the longest time, they have a book that they're going to publish or want to publish, but they never think that they're actually going to get there because they are struggling with, finishing writing the book, but then also, like, they've never gotten any good feedback, any constructive feedback. And I said that you, as a writer, would be able to help with the storyboarding and character development.
100%.
And then also with providing some good, solid feedback. Because my point was, don't compare yourself to other people. Don't compare yourself to, like, a Tolkien or a Patrick Rothfuss or whatever.
Yes.
Like, thinking you're not as good as them. Well, of course you're not. You've only just started. And then 2, not everybody can critique work. That's a skill you have to learn how to do. And a lot of people don't actually have a good handle of language and story arcs. And so they will read a story and be like, oh yeah, that was good, but they can't say what they liked about it or what they didn't like about it.
It's not constructive, it's just...
Yeah, it just is feedback.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that, like, you need someone who is actually practiced or studied to be able to critique work properly.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And so
Very
I volunteered your services.
That's fine.
I also...
Not like I work hard. No, actually, this sounds very enjoyable.
I also suggested that potentially Ash, if she's got a spare... Oh. If she's
a follow-up thing that I need to email to someone else now.
Whoops. If she's got some spare time, some back and forth there might potentially be productive.
My Ash?
Yeah, your Ash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Cool. And then I said the other thing is, don't, like, feel too bad about publishing work because Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey are a thing, and they're
massive hits.
multi-million-dollar, you know...
But also, if you go through the traditional publishing route, it will be edited and critiqued, and, like, that's the process of making it better. Like,
yeah.
No matter how well you've written, your editors will probably have things to say. Your publishers will have, like,
notes,
their own things that they want. So it's not like it's just gonna... Unless you're self-publishing, which is a valid option, and then you should find your own feedback.
Editor,
yeah. I strongly recommend editors, even if they're just hiring an editor just to edit before you self-publish, because they'll usually be able to tell you, like, what's good, but also what's marketable. Which can help, especially if you aren't already in the industry. Yeah.
And then another time, not right now because you're dying. You should talk about how you deal with writing block.
How do I deal with writer's block?
Well, that's the thing. Like,
we can have a back and forth discussion about how we could deal with writer's block.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good stream at some point. Have a
anyone who writes or creates can come and give input.
Have a campfire session with Cog, you, me, Fire.
Anyone else?
Who else? There's a few other arty people in our group, and just do a, like, how do you deal with, like, that funk and the depression that comes with, like, not being able to work or, like, comparing your work to other people's work? Because I think that would be a good thing for, like, the wider community to hear about. Yeah. Because I know a lot of people who struggle with that.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I'm going to finish up here, I think, in a second. We've got 10 minutes until the next raid, so what we'll do is we'll do that last raid, and then I'll probably actually raid out then to someone else, and finish up this artwork later, so I can cuddle my beautiful wife who has worked way too hard.
Might have. It's not just me, though. I'm just going to point out that I did the afternoon shift, But my care manager's back in for the start of the night shift. And then
Which
the
is crazy.
facility manager's back in at 4 a.m. to take over from the care manager.
Craziness.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
If you ever wanted a career change, aged
Go into
care
nursing.
needs you.
Go into aged care
Aged
nursing.
care.
Come on.
We've just gotten the pay rise.
Yeah. What was it?
15%.
15%? Yeah. It's actually not bad money.
Yeah. Oh, no, aged care is horrible money. That's why we needed the pay rise. It still doesn't compare to, like, disability. Disability pays better. And that's where we're losing all of our staff.
Right, okay.
Aged care is a harder job.
That makes sense. Okay.
Than a lot of disability. Like, some disability is hard, but a lot of the disability jobs in our area, at least, are quite easy.
Yeah.
And disability pays just so much better. Community nursing also pays a lot better.
Yeah,
And
okay.
everyone says that they prefer it. So it's literally just aged care isn't prioritized, and so we lose staff, and we're short staffed, and it just makes it worse. Because then everyone's tired and people call in sick, and you're even more short staffed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a never-ending cycle of exhaustion.
The never-ending cycle of exhaustion. We also have our artwork has finally arrived. There was 2 packages there, by the way.
Oh.
There's one behind it,
Oh.
and then there's our artwork just down here.
Oh, exciting!
Yeah. I thought we could open it up together.
Scat.
Oh, skip.
This arrived while we were overseas, and I don't know why they didn't give it to you when you picked up the other parcels. Because it literally was on hold with the rest of the
Oh,
parcels.
maybe it didn't. It was in my car.
You were just not letting me have you were withholding my skirt from me? Hey puppies. What in the world are you doing?
Being silly.
There is all of this cardboard on the floor. Do you need the same piece?
They say yes.
Henry says yes.
Henry says yes. Henry's a noggin.
Also, yes. Scott. It's finally the final piece of all of those velvet skirts that I got.
Oh, hey! Nice work.
When it didn't come when you picked up the packages but had supposed to be come, I was like, am I just never getting this skirt? It's just not happening. So
Sorry,
it's the second time I tried to get it.
Sorry, lover.
That's alright. It's here now. Ugh.
This is looking pretty good. Pretty gooder. See, I told you, there was a period of time where I was like, nah, this is shit. I hate it. And then I was like, nope, I've got to push through. Eventually, this will turn into an artwork that I actually like. And there it is. Artwork I actually like. Alright, where are we at? 5 minutes left. If anybody has or knows someone that we should raid into, please do let us know. I haven't been having a look who's on currently. I should probably do that now. Just quickly while we wait. Oh, Mr. Mal's on. We could raid into Mal. Although he'd probably be finishing up shortly. Puppet Glitch is also doing some art. We could raid into Puppet Glitch. That'd be exciting. He's also doing art stuff. That's cool. Bearded Squire is doing some art. Watercolor Nana is apparently playing some games, which is different. And then Durkle is doing some workles. So that's potentially an option. Otherwise, if anybody else knows of someone in particular that would be a good raid target, please do let us know in the chat. So tomorrow is probably going to be some GTA, I think, is the plan. So feel free to come and join us for that. GTA with the friends. Though it's always hard to tell exactly what we're going to end up doing. And then the next stream after that will be our Saturday Men's Mental Health International Men's Day stream. So definitely join for that. We're going to be chatting about all of the mentally health things. We're going to have Cog in at some point. We're going to have friends come and go and chat with us. We're going to be doing some art things, probably going to be playing some games. I reckon we'll probably be doing a little bit of Book of Travels, which will be exciting. So yeah, join us for that for sure. It's going to be a subathon. It's going to be for charity. So for every sub, we're going to be going for an extra 30 minutes, or at least try to. And then for donations and biddies and stuff, based on how much you donate, we'll extend the stream a little bit longer, or we'll do, special things on stream. And then all that money is going to the Movember charity for Cog. He is specifically doing his for men's mental health, because that's a thing that's important to both of us, really, but to him as well, very specifically. So feel free to come along to that. If you have particular things that you want to chat about, or games that you want to see us play, or art that you want to see us do, there's a suggestion box down below. There is our Discord, which you're welcome to join. And if you are particularly interested in men's mental health and want to help out with that, you could potentially end up on the stream with us if you wanted to, sit and chat and do the do's. I think Lizzie Bell is away for Saturday this weekend, or is it Sunday you're going to be away?
Oh, is this the weekend that I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Is that this weekend?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah. No, it was Sunday. It was the 20th.
Sunday, okay.
I'll be here!
You will be here, wonderful. You can join us for the chats. You can be a men's mental health. You're my mental health.
Oh, thank you, I tried.
You do very well. This is looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this so far. Oh, I'm just going to quickly fix up this.
I'm going to have to go to work tomorrow because you're just getting slobber all over my uniform.
He's just a noggin.
Here.
She says yes. It's very rude. She's ridiculous. Alright. I'm liking this. We got 5 seconds before the raid battle starts. Last chance to get in units.
things.
No. Don't worry about it.
I'm not. I don't have the energy to worry. Worrying will happen tomorrow when I think of all the things that I didn't get done today because I was too overworked.
Fair.
And I'm out of practice at nursing.
Alright, starting the battle. Onward to victory! Oh, we're definitely winning this one. Hey, hey, victory!
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Awesome! Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for playing Stream Raiders with me. Very much appreciated. We'll pick up back on this run next stream, probably tomorrow. In the meantime, let's just save this. I'm gonna just roughly put in a background, probably a dark forest green, I reckon. And just to give this some... Do I like that as a background?
Dark forest green goes well with the colour scheme you've got going.
It does, doesn't it?
You can always update it later. Give the details for us.
I don't really have the time, but yeah.
Oh, does this is I didn't mean tonight.
Oh yeah, no, they're like literally just for right now because I'm going to post it on Instagram as a like a this is where we're up to kind of thing. Alright, that's looking pretty gooder.
Just like you.
C'est moi.
C'est toi.
And we'll export this.
Très
Très
belle.
bon.
Très beau. Masculine. Sorry, I just read the feminine beautiful. Très beau.
Now, where is she? Oh, it's just small enough that we can post it on Discord. Wonderful. Alright, I'm going to chuck this in the Discord. Just in case we raid into someone who wants to see the art we've been working on. So I'll chuck it in art, and then we'll raid out to someone. No one has given me a suggestion yet.
No cognitive beard.
No cognitive beard.
How dare he not be there for you to read into?
I know, right? So rude. Oh, we have lost a Mr. Mao, so it looks like he's raided out to someone else, which is fine. It's fine. So let's have a look what
Sorry, Henry, I needed to scratch my face.
Jekyll is doing. So it's either going to be Dirkle or Pup Glitch, I reckon. It's been... actually, I don't think we've ever raided into Dirkle. Let's raid into Dirkle. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are subscribed to me, feel free to copy my little raidy-doo here. Oh, I'm leaving with one viewer.
Henry.
Awesome. Anyway, thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. I hope you had a wonderful time on our stream. We will be back tomorrow for some GTA and some Stream Raiders, and then we have a wonderful stream over the weekend on Saturday for Men's Mental Health for International Men's Day. So feel free to come and join us for that. Very exciting, and I will see you then tomorrow. Bye.
Gotta relax.